This is Mac OS Ken.
High weirdness by Wall Street, uncertain Apple Store hours in England, and putting special effects in your specs. It's Wednesday, the 4th of November, 2020. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Squarespace, your place online. Get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain with offer code MacOSKen at squarespace.com/MacOSKen. This show is also sponsored by Mint Mobile, offering their unlimited data plan for just $30 a month. Leaving your old wireless carrier can be scary. I know. It took me a long time to pull that trigger. Mint Mobile makes it easier. They were the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, and now Mint Mobile has this unlimited data plan for just $30 a month. How much would that save you per year? I know for me, it's saving hundreds. But it's only the cost I'm cutting, not the service. All plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. For me, it's been fantastic, but you want to make sure it's right for you. That's why Mint Mobile comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee. Really try it out for a few days. If you're not totally stoked, return it within 7 days for a full refund. To get your new unlimited wireless plan for just $30 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/MacOSKen. That's MINT, mintmobile.com/MacOSKen. Cut your unlimited wireless bill to $30 a month at mintmobile.com/MacOSKen. And a big thanks to Mint Mobile for sponsoring today's show. A couple of weird notes from Wall Street on Tuesday, or interesting notes anyway. Apple Insider had a peek at a couple, actually, from Morgan Stanley analyst Katie Huberty. One of those marveled at the money Apple keeps making in the App Store. The other worried about the possibility that that money could go away. We'll start with the marvel. Based on data from Sensor Tower, Huberty says that App Store net revenue went up 30% last month versus October 2019. For October of this year, that would put App Store revenue at $1.9 billion in Huberty's estimation. Revenue was broad-based and similar across Apple's 10 largest markets, according to the report, with gaming continuing to dominate. One interesting point, it doesn't look like more people are spending in the App Store. Rather, the people who are spending more. Quoting her note, what these trends suggest is that users continue to engage with the App Store at a robust rate, spending more on apps and in-store purchases, despite slowing app downloads, driving net revenue per download to all-time highs in October. Now, I said that Apple Insider had seen a couple of notes from the Hube. That second one focused on risks to future revenue laid out by Apple in its Form 10-K. Among those, the pressure the DOJ case against Google might put on Apple's services segment. Google is believed to pay Apple somewhere between $9 billion and $12 billion to be the default search engine for iOS. That deal is said to be a big part of the DOJ's antitrust case against Google. While Huberty seems to think that this one is worth watching, it may not be worth worrying about right now for a couple of reasons. First, Google doesn't pay a flat fee, according to the analyst. Rather, Apple Insider says she believes the majority of Google's payments to Apple are variable and based on search revenue. In other words, Huberty forecasts that there will be less financial risk than currently anticipated. The other reason for her watch, not worry stance, we are a long way from a verdict in that case. The way she sees it, the fact that these investigations typically take several years provides Apple air cover to improve user adoption of its other services, which can mitigate the potential Google impact. One more point worth noting. In his take on Huberty's note, Apple 3.0's Philip Elmer-DeWitt said Huberty has more to say about lower warranty accruals and a decline in normalized gross margins, but the regulatory risks in the 10K are what she chose to put in her headline. So either this is the thing that she's worried about the most, or this is the thing that she knew would get attention. Whatever the case, she's still got an overweight rating on Apple's shares. Her price target on the shares is $136. The other weird note was Evercore's tactical retreat on Apple's shares. Anyway, that's what another piece from Apple 3.0 called it. In fairness, though, Evercore analyst Amit Daryanani didn't call it that. Rather, he said that his firm was pulling Apple from its tactical outperform list. It's a subtle distinction, I know, but it's there. According to the firm, Evercore ISI research reports may include a tactical call, which describes a near-term event or catalyst affecting the subject company or the market overall, and which is expected to have a short-term price impact on the equity shares of the subject company. So there was this fixed event or point in time that made Apple super attractive to Daryanani, prompting the tactical outperform placement. That thing was the September quarter earnings report, and that thing has passed. Quoting his note, "We're removing Apple from the tactical outperform list as the company catalyst. September quarter earnings has played out. Apple reported a strong September quarter as strength across Macs, iPads, wearables, and services more than offset weaker iPhone revenues. While Apple refrained from providing an explicit December quarter guide, they do anticipate positive year-on-year growth across the portfolio and gross margins remaining flat on a quarter-over-quarter basis." Basically, Daryanani likes everything about Apple today, and he's still got a positive rating on the shares. However, he writes, given ongoing macro uncertainty, we think removing the stock from tactical outperform is a prudent call. He and his have an outperform rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is $135. Here's a strange thing to not know. Apple is apparently not sure whether it's going to close its stores in England this week when England goes into lockdown. Apple Insider brings us the odd. Earlier this week, Apple Insider ran a report saying UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has announced England will enter a second national lockdown lasting 4 weeks, with the closure of non-essential shops and travel restrictions effectively forcing the closure of all Apple Store locations in the country throughout most of November. I had said at the time that one might be able to make a case that Apple stores are essential because people may need to get their work from home, school at home machines repaired, or who knows, maybe even buy new work from home, school at home machines. I thought I was kidding though. Or really, I wasn't taking that idea seriously. And yet, yesterday's piece from Apple Insider had a person the site could neither identify nor verify saying that they were an Apple retail employee and that they had been to a meeting where they learned that Apple stores will stay open. The person who wrote to Apple Insider said meeting had yesterday, UK stores staying open for Apple Pickup and Genius Bar. Employees deeply upset. Company has shifted safety stance to profit stance. Some employees being forced to work during lockdown. An anonymous somebody said to know something. Personally, I would have been inclined to ignore this story, except for the part where Apple got non-committal. Apple Insider reached out to Apple, and amazingly, Apple reached back. The response they got was short, saying only that no decision has been made as yet, according to the report. Apple Pay continues to make its way around the financial globe. The Independent out of Ireland says the Cupertino company's contactless payment solution has turned up for the Bank of Ireland. While Apple Pay is new to the bank, digital wallets are not. The piece says Google Pay is already supported by Bank of Ireland, with more on the way. We have plans for further digital wallets, and we will be in touch with customers when those are available, a bank spokesperson told the paper. Curious that Apple Pay took a while, though adding it now is not surprising. Contactless and mobile payments have grown steadily in Ireland in recent years, according to the report. It's been surging again during the pandemic. More news in a moment, but first a word from Squarespace, your place online. I got a wonderful email from Amy on Tuesday. I'll read you part of it. You've often had Squarespace as a sponsor, she begins, which is how we found it and decided to use it to start our podcast, a travel podcast for back-of-the-pack runners who make the most of their race entry fees, called the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We accomplish, explore, and indulge all over the country during normal times, now through virtual races that support charities and community organizations and local tasty bites and brews. And through it all, Squarespace has been there because you introduced us to it. 4 years and going strong because of your introduction. Anyone who wants to check it out can go to runeatdrink.net or find us on Apple Podcasts too. Amy goes on to say it's easy for me and my co-host husband to publish episodes, tinker with templates, and to dig deep into the design of our website with their amazing customer support when we feel like making it so with our number one host, Squarespace. Hey, she's a Trek nerd too. We encourage anyone who has a passion and an idea to use Squarespace and turn it into a reality. So says Amy, co-host of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast at runeatdrink.net. You know, Amy, every time I tell anybody about Squarespace, this is the kind of thing I hope will happen. Thank you very much, Amy, for letting me know. Everybody else, do what Amy says. Go to squarespace.com/macOSKen for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code macOSKen to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Start your free trial today. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code macOSKen to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain at squarespace.com/macOSKen. And a big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring today's show. Word on the street has Apple hiring a lot of visual effects people, though they're not going to work for Apple TV+. Cult of Mac highlights a Wall Street Journal report that has Apple hiring the VFX wizards, not for C Season 3, but for its AR/VR ambitions. Now, to be clear, it's not just Apple picking up people. According to the piece, Google and Facebook are also among the companies looking to acqui-hire talent, and they might be easy pickings right now thanks to Hollywood paying less than it used to for VFX artists, followed by Hollywood shutting down for most of the year due to COVID-19. The shift reportedly predates COVID, though. According to the Journal, Silicon Valley's recruitment of artists and engineers who built some of Hollywood's most memorable digital effects reflects the view that mass user adoption of AR and VR platforms depends on creating lifelike experiences. In recent years, former visual effects professionals have traded careers working for top Hollywood firms like Industrial Light and Magic, Digital Domain, and Weta Digital in favor of often higher-paying gigs at tech companies developing AR and VR applications and hardware. Bring it. And finally today, Apple sent another iPhone to live on a farm and play with other smartphones. Apple Insider says iPhone 5C has found its way to the list of vintage products. If you don't remember which ones those were, they were the ones with the colorful candy shell. Or as Apple Insider describes them, the iPhone 5C debuted in 2013 as an affordable option to then current iPhone 5S flagships. Built into a polycarbonate casing, the handset borrowed much of its internals, save for a larger battery, from iPhone 5. You say polycarbonate casing, I say colorful candy shell. Whatever. As for its new old status, the piece says products that have not been sold for more than 5 years and less than 7 years ago land on the vintage list. That means repairs are available if parts are available, either through Apple or an authorized service provider. Coming up in a few minutes, After a couple of days away, we are back with the show's first ever guest. Peter Cohen is virtually in the house, talking over hopes and expectations for next week's One More Thing event. Look for the show in a few minutes, wherever you get podcasts. You can also catch it, by the way, on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Ken Ray, also the home of the video version of macOS Ken Live, going live every Monday through Friday, 3:30 p.m. Pacific, 6:30 Eastern. If that time does not work for you, you can watch the latest edition anytime you want, youtube.com/Ken Ray, or grab the audio podcast of that, macOS Ken Live, wherever podcasts are served. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Mint Mobile. Get the new unlimited data plan for just $30 a month at mintmobile.com/macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by Squarespace. Get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain with offer code macOSKen at squarespace.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. info@macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.